How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. The weather is getting colder.
It's snowing at my house right now.
Oh, that's right. All that snow went up to you.
Yeah.
Dang. How was
I
that?
mean, it's not gonna stick.
Sure.
It's just gonna like make our porch look pretty for a minute, and then but it's not gonna get anywhere like in terms of grass.
Did you have any funsies?
A little bit. We went outside for just a minute. I mean, it's really not enough to even make a snowball. It's just like a dusting right now. So,
Well, this is episode 280 of the HooperCast movie hour, everybody.
it is.
So welcome to the show. We are everywhere. We'll tell you some places later, some specifics, but you can find us wherever you're watching or listening right now. You can watch and listen to other places as well, maybe better places. We are on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, and of course on Patreon. So look for
Yes.
us in those places. Not a lot of film news has cropped up for this past week. The only thing, I didn't pack the link in my digital suitcase,
Sure.
but so we talked last week or the week before about Mads Mikkelsen being
Mhm.
like credibly rumored to replace Johnny Depp in Fantastic Beasts 3 as Grindelwald, and I believe it's been officially confirmed that that is the casting.
Mhm. That has been confirmed.
So that's just really just a follow up. We have literally no additional thoughts on that other than
Right.
cool. I think we stated our case last time that would be awesome, and that
Yep.
would, well, in my case, it would move the needle a little bit. I think Dustin said you went from a 0% interest in the film to like a 1.1% interest.
Yeah. Yep. It did not spike very much.
Yeah. Well, oh well. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, not a lot of film news to talk about, so I figured we'll just go ahead and take this first half of the show and just talk about a couple of things, namely my own viewing of season 4 of The Crown.
Ah, sweet.
So The Crown, I've spoken about this on the show before. The Crown is a Netflix series. It was developed, created by Peter Morgan, and the interesting thing about The Crown is that it has multiple casts.
Hmm.
So it may like it began with like Claire Foy and Matt Smith and like John Lithgow and some other people, and then it in the third season they turned over the cast essentially because they had a big time jump. They jump ahead like 15 years, and they were just like, we're not gonna have these people playing this family, you know,
Yeah,
older and older and older. That's just kind of not what. Just it's just a creative choice they made.
sure.
Yeah, so created and principally written by Peter Morgan, but the studio, if you want to know, is Sony Pictures Television. And is this? Yeah, sorry, this is developed from his own drama film, The Queen, which is that 2006 film starring Helen Mirren, I believe it was. Yeah, Helen Mirren. And was that developed from a book? I just want to be accurate. I don't know if it was.
Mm.
Um, uh, I don't, I don't know. It just says written by Peter Morgan. Did he just straight up write that? Well, anyways, it's a great show. So I've talked about it on our show before. Like I said, this is season 4. And we do know it's one of those shows. You'll like this, Dustin. They know when they're going to end it. They're doing 6 seasons, and then that's going to be it. So
Good.
we've just had the fourth one released a few weeks ago. We finished watching it over Thanksgiving weekend, and I would give this season 4 stars.
Mm.
I think The Crown has been a consistently well-made show, and well acted,
Mm.
well written, and just well constructed show. I checked out like public reaction to the show this
Hmm.
time around, and there was people like because like we're on Twitter now, so like Connor underscore Dempsey. But if I was on Twitter and
Shameless.
I was just like, what's going on? Because it was trending or something. I was like, oh, is it trending because people are liking it? And there was like people who were just like, I can't believe people think we care this much about the royal family to, trying to make them look sympathetic. I was like, whatever. It's just a
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yep.
I think I made some veiled jab at people that you'll still have. Well, this is anatomically accurate. I think I said something like you'll still have a penis after the show is over. Like you don't have to rail against this show just to show how manly you are. Like we don't care about
Right.
the royals. I don't either, man. I like good characters though, and and
Hmm.
and and that's something to address with this show. This show is also being uh I think it was the brother of Princess Diana
Mm.
who is principally raising the charge that the show is not factually accurate.
Mm.
This is fictional to a large extent, he says, and that is something that people ought to know. Um, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing: the series covers a lot of a long span of time from the death of King George and Elizabeth's ascension to the throne through a lot of periods in time. The Kennedy assassination, and of course now we're into when Charles marries Diana Spencer and apartheid and the prime minister term of Margaret Thatcher is introduced in this series, and then they're going all the way through like the early 2000s, and then in the final two seasons.
Mm.
So I think what everyone needs to remember if they watch the show is these are characters. I mean, like they're real people. Like these people exist. But
Hmm.
always when you watch something that's not a documentary, and even sometimes when you're watching a documentary,
Yeah.
you're being told a story, and you're being told a story through a specific lens from people who have a point of view and something to say, and you just gotta remember that, I guess.
Hmm.
Even with the social dilemma, Dustin. I mean, like as factual as the things in that documentary are, I wouldn't say that's a straight up like here's the entire truth.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So I maintain that The Crown is consistently well made. So if anyone has not gotten onto it and was on the fence, I can tell you 4 seasons in, it's been worth it.
Mm.
They are turning the cast over. This was the final season for Olivia Colman and Helena Bonham Carter, Tobias Menzies. But I can't remember anyone else off the top of my head. Um, the casting has been announced for the final two seasons. I'll get to that in a minute. But I think that I'm talking more about the atmosphere around the show than the season itself. I don't know what to tell you. I've talked about the content of the show quite enough. I mean, again, the cast is great. It's just really well made. It's 50, 60 minute long episodes, and I can watch them without falling asleep. And because the pace is done, it doesn't beat you over the head with exposition. You just pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing that I would say confuses me about the show is that sometimes I get lost in the historical context. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I think when you're as young as we are and you're trying to watch something that took place before you were born, you you really have to rely on the filmmaker's point of view for how you're supposed to interpret this event.
Yeah.
Like unless you lived through it and you remember how it was. Like it's not until we start to see a lot of shows that deal with like 9/11
Hmm.
and like, specifically like grade school kids who saw it on television like we
Hmm.
did where
Hmm.
we'll go, okay, well, I remember, and that wasn't exactly my experience. But right now, we don't
Right.
have the benefit of having been alive during a lot of these events.
Yeah.
I didn't see the royal wedding of uh, Prince Charles, Prince of Wales. Although you can watch the entire thing on YouTube, I found out.
I'm sure you can.
It sounds not boring as shit. Um, um, where was I going with that point? I guess I would say that can be hard, but you would know that about yourself as a viewer more than I could possibly know it about you.
Mhm.
You know if this is your genre or not. So it's really well made, and I'm really pleased with the constant quality of The Crown. The article I have about the next season with the casting. So the person playing Elizabeth in the final two seasons is Imelda Staunton,
Okay.
who people would know as Dolores Umbridge from the Harry Potter movies,
Hmm.
which I think is good casting. This is an article on Cinema Blend I have, and it's just 6 things that we know about the Netflix series, about season 5 and onward. So it's going to premiere in 2022. I think they said there were 6 days left on their shooting schedule for this season when
Mm.
COVID hit. And so,
Mm.
but they were almost finished, but they just had to change that final week of, oh, okay, crap, that was a nipped the tail end of them. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
of course assuming, yeah, let's see, won't see the show's 5th season for 2 years, which is customary for the show considering the habit of replacing the cast every 2 seasons. In July 2020, it was reported The Crown season 5 wouldn't return to Netflix till 2022, and based on the release dates, it probably won't be until late, like November or December. Um, it's supposed to get into production in June of 2021. We'll see about that.
Yeah.
So that could affect things a little bit. So the new cast. So yeah, we've got Imelda Staunton for Queen Elizabeth. Who's okay? So we've got Elizabeth Debicki is going to be joining and playing Princess Diana. People remember her from the Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I think what was she just in that you liked, Dustin? God, uh,
Uh,
man, I can't remember what it was, but we were talking about it recently. Crap, I don't remember.
look it up.
Yeah, if you look it up, you'll see it. But she was in The Great Gatsby. She was just in Tenet. Um, but I like Elizabeth Debicki, and she the girl they cast to play Diana in this one looked a lot like her, and I think Elizabeth Debicki is a good choice to be playing an older Diana. They're jumping ahead. This series ends in 1990, I think it is, and
Mm.
Princess Diana died in 97. So I
Yep.
think they're jumping ahead to 97. I think that the season is going to deal with, obviously it's going to deal with
Gotcha.
her death. So it's not as big of a time jump as the other seasons were, like, a decade and a half or so, but it's still enough to where, okay, they're noticeably older, and that's just,
Sure.
So she's going to be Diana. We've got Dominic West playing Prince Charles. Okay, that's cool. Here was a big one, though. Jonathan Pryce be playing Prince Philip. Jonathan Pryce, of course, doing well right now. He did like a season and a half of Game of Thrones as the High Sparrow, which was a really treated performance from him. He just had a really great turn on the two popes in that film with Anthony Hopkins.
Hmm.
Um, the Man Who Killed Don Quixote, the Terry Gilliam movie that finally got made. After that cursed one, they
Yep.
finally. It's funny about that. The people who made Lost in La Mancha about how that production just totally failed.
Mm.
They now have made a production, a documentary about that film finally
About that.
getting made. Yeah, they got to make a follow up about it.
Awesome.
So he's going to play the Duke of Edinburgh, and he's a good choice. I love it. He doesn't really look like him, but Jonathan Pryce is a tremendous actor.
Mm.
We've got Leslie Manville playing Princess Margaret. I don't know that much about her. Yeah, and the people who've been playing Princess Margaret have been killer. So this we've had Helen Bonham Carter for 2 seasons, and before that we had 2 seasons of Vanessa Kirby, and that was
Mm.
also really good.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it was going to be done after season 5, but now it's done after season 6. So the rest of it's just speculation about when will it pick up. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, yeah, good show. The Crown is strong as always, and oh my God, I didn't even mention Gillian Anderson playing
Mm.
Margaret Thatcher. Gillian Anderson, who I have since learned is like American and English
Mm.
dialect, bi dialectical or something. I think it's called, where she
Huh.
is American, but she grew up overseas and she moved to like Illinois and then like lives overseas. And she's one of those
Interesting.
people whose accent will change based on who she's talking to. She's
Gotcha.
doing an interview with Netflix UK about this show, and then we watched another one with Jimmy Kimmel where she sounds way more American. It's just she's one of those people who slow ramps up to her role and slow
Yeah,
ramps
yeah,
down, and
yeah.
kind of so she's tremendous as Margaret Thatcher. I think Diana. I think the girl. God, I don't have her name in front of me. I suck. But Gillian Anderson of the X Files, really really good as Margaret Thatcher, and of course the cast is just always great. So that's The Crown. If you've been looking for an excuse to check it out, check it out. You got
Sweet.
time, and it's worth it for
Yeah.
sure. So,
Nice.
geez, I just talked a lot. Do you want to go ahead and hit the break, and then we'll talk about some movies?
Yeah,
Or
let's
do you
do it.
want to do anything before we do the break?
No, I'm good.
No?
Let's
Okay.
break it up.
We'll break it
Break
up.
me off a piece of that
Yeah,
ad
yeah.
content.
Yeah. Of course, if you're listening on any of the regular podcast platforms or watching the first half of the show on YouTube, there are commercial-free versions of the show and full video versions of the show over on the Patreon page, which is obviously patreon.com/HooperCast. You could have messily Googled our show and the word Patreon, and you would still find it. So I feel strange giving you an exact URL because the internet makes it real easy to find things,
Yes.
especially if your name is super unique like ours. So
Right.
patreon.com/HooperCast is where you find us. We've got a couple of participation tiers there for your viewing and paying pleasure.
Yes.
Um, so go check those out. In the meantime, though, we're going to hit the break regardless. And when we get back, we're
Yes.
going to talk about a couple of movies. I want to hear about The Murder on the Orient Express, and I
Sweet.
want to tell people about The Impossible, which I
Okay.
just saw for the second time
Sweet.
again, which was my second time.
Gotcha.
Back in a minute, HooperCast Movie Hour.